So I don't often do pre-match videos, but I'm so stressed about this upcoming match, I feel like I gotta talk about it. And if I'm stressed about it right now, I'm definitely going to be stressed during the game. Probably gonna be stress pacing the entire time. At least 90 minutes, maybe extra time and penalties. I'm pretty sure extra time is going to be in place in the final, even though it hasn't been used in the other knockout stage matches. So Gold Cup final, USA versus Mexico. It is largely a B squad for the US going up against a Mexico squad that has brought all of their A-listers. So Mexico come in as pretty big favorites, but this is not a new script. We have seen this same final basically play out 4 years ago in 2021, where just about the exact same storyline was going into the tournament. The U.S. brought a B squad, Mexico a full team, Mexico the favorites, Mexico the defending champions, and when they met in the final, Mexico were pretty big favorites, understandably. But the favorites did not win. The US did. One of my favorite matches ever. I remember that game really well because the way it was in the UK, basically, for whatever reason, they didn't show the Gold Cup matches live. They waited 24 hours to show them. So I had to wait an agonizing 24 hours to actually watch the final, in which case I had turned off my phone, didn't touch it the entire day because I didn't want to have any sort of score spoiled for me. And then finally did get to watch the match, and it was so worth the wait. It was such a wonderful day. And when the goal went in, it was about like 1 a.m. in the UK, so I had to, stifle in the screams, so I didn't wake up everyone else in the house. But man, that was just such a fun time. Literally, just one of probably like top five favorite games that I've ever watched, that 2021 final. So there are a few more A-listers in this team than there were in that squad. Tyler Adams and Chris Richards being the big one, but still, it's a fairly similar build-up, with the U.S. not bringing their strongest squad to the Gold Cup and Mexico bringing their strongest squad. And Mexico has looked better in the Gold Cup so far. I've had some reservations about Mexico, and from what I've seen of Mexican media, they also have some reservations about how Mexico's been doing, because they've won all their games except for the Costa Rica match. But there's been worries about how their offense is working, and some worries that the offense isn't functioning as well as they should. So I'm pretty sure their top scorer is still a defender in this tournament, Mexico. So that's a sign that, their attack isn't working very well. A defender should not be your top scorer. Um, so that's not great for Mexico. That being said, the U.S. haven't had a great attack either. I'm quite worried because Ajimang has not really done that well in this Gold Cup. I thought he could maybe do a bit more, but it just doesn't seem like he's quite that guy. And I thought he maybe could be going into the Gold Cup if he got the chance to do that, but he just hasn't been that good. He squandered a lot of opportunities, and I'm a bit worried about all of our focal points in attack going through Ajimang, because Mexico does have a very good defense, and they have not conceded since the first game in this Gold Cup. And so it's an attacker that really is struggling to score against the best defense in the tournament. So that definitely does worry me. On top of that, even though Mexico have had their struggles with scoring goals, the U.S. haven't really been that great in defense either. In fact, defense has probably been our weakest point in the tournament. Since the Haiti game, I'd say. At times we kind of looked disjointed, and in the Haiti game especially, there was a lot of like weird mistakes that can't really have in a final. But sorry, the wings is where it's really going to be a struggle, especially with Arston, who has provided us quite a bit going forward, but not so much in defense. And if Mexico can find ways to isolate Arston, they're going to have a lot of joy getting into the box. So that definitely does worry me. Sorry. So that scares me, and I do think Mexico, because of those defensive frailties, will be favorites in this match. There's also the situation of Matt Freese, who it's still, I really don't know what to think of Matt Freese. And for the most part, he hasn't really been tested all that much in the Gold Cup. He did really well in the shootout, but I still don't know if from open play he's been the best. He's not great on his feet, which means if we try anything clever with playing out from the back, there's a decent chance we're going to make a mistake because we haven't been too great at that this tournament, and Freese is not the best at it. And you know what? I do appreciate that Freese seems to know this. Like, when he's got the ball in a tricky situation, he doesn't try to do anything neat and try and get a pass away. He just launches the ball forward. And if you can't play the ball very well, that's what you should be doing. It's better to just, absolutely whack the ball as far as you can if you're likely to concede or give the ball away if you don't. So Freese does seem to be aware of this, but you would preferably want a goalkeeper who's better on the ball than Matt Freese. That being said, if it goes to penalties, I am fairly confident, even if Mexico sub on Ochoa, because, you'd think Ochoa versus Matt Freese, who hasn't done that much in his career to date, would be quite a big mismatch. But I thought that in the quarterfinals when he was up against Navas, and it was Freese who ended up taking the headlines with his penalty heroics. Potentially at the World Cup, we could use Freese as a penalty specialist, although maybe I'm reading too much into one shootout. But he did do a really good job against Costa Rica, and that's the only time I've really thought, wow, yeah, absolutely, this guy could be a starting keeper. And that's not to say that I don't think that there's positives from Matt Freese. I feel like I'm kind of being negative about him here, but he hasn't really been that bad either in the Gold Cup. I feel like for the most part, we haven't gotten to see too much of him, and from what we have seen, he hasn't really been super bad, but also not amazing, so it's hard to really know. The only bit where he was absolutely amazing was that penalty shootout against Costa Rica. So yeah, if it goes to penalties, I will have some hope. If not, then I don't know. Mexico are favorites, though. Mexico should win this game. And if they don't, that's going to be quite embarrassing for them. For those who don't follow CONCACAF that closely, you might be surprised to know that this is actually the first time in a while that Mexico has come into a match against the U.S. where they are favorites. Really not since that 2021 final has that been the case. Because, there was a little bit of time where the U.S. was actually really good and beating everyone in CONCACAF. We have won 3 Nations Leagues now. So we have had a lot of joy against Mexico recently, and in the last 3 finals we played against Mexico, whether that be Gold Cup or Nations League, we have won. So that does give me some encouragement, but those finals, barring the 2021 one, the 2 Nations League finals were with a quite different squad. So that's not necessarily a sign that we're going to win this game, even though we have had a lot of recent success against Mexico. And so there's some storyline into this game as well as to the B team and what that means for Mexico if they don't win. On the one hand, you could say there is more pressure on Mexico because if they lose to a US B team again, the pressure is going to be huge. That would be such a massive disappointment for them. As for the US, I think that there's maybe not quite the same embarrassment factor if we lose. At the very least, if we don't lose by a big margin. If we lose 4-0, then there's going to be some question, and all the noise that's been around the team already is going to come back. If we lose, it's probably more of the same. There's still worries about the U.S. team that haven't really gone away in the Gold Cup, even though they've gotten a bit quieter with the run we've been on. But as soon as we don't win a game, which we've only just about been winning our games, that pressure is going to come back and that noise is going to come back around the team. The only way to really make a statement and quiet some of that noise to the point that could actually be a bit of a positive feeling around the team is if we win with a B team again. But those wins don't come around too often, so we'll see if that happens. Either way, I am looking forward to the Gold Cup final, even though I am quite scared about it, and I do think Mexico probably will be the team that wins it. But with 1 year to go before the World Cup, this is really both squads' last chance to really make a statement win, at least in an official game. So that is slightly bigger than perhaps a Gold Cup final usually is, and for that, I really hope that the U.S. can get it, and that would be awesome, not just because it'd be really fun to win, but because that would bring just a bit of positivity that's really been lacking around the USMNT for a while if a B team could win. That being said, I do think it's going to be Mexico to take it.